Looking for magic cards? At flipsidegaming.com you can now use the promo code LVD to get a 10% discount on orders over $10 while supporting the channel at the same time. So, another Ravnica Legions traditional draft. Well, pack one, pick one. We've been here before, and it usually goes pretty well. If you can get into a nice black-white deck after first picking Ethereal Absolution, probably the best rare in the set. What else do we have? Some more Orzhov cards. Racketeers is fine, although I think the 3 mana 2/1 with Afterlife 2 is just better. Knight's a bit expensive. Can hope to wheel Grotesque Demise. Can hope to wheel maybe a Footlight Fiend. Something cheap to keep us alive until we get to 6 mana. Alright, let's take the Absolution. Well, there's an Inheritance, which is okay, although after first picking Absolution, I'm really interested in maximizing the number of creatures we have in the deck and the cards that can keep us alive until we can get to Absolution, but Inheritance is still just a strong card. And there's nothing else that really stands out that would go well with our Absolution. I mean, there's a Guildgate, we could splash blue for Knight Arbiter, but if we can stick to 2 colors and make our deck more consistent, the better for it. So let's just take Inheritance. Alright, now we can choose between Demise and Thrall. Thrall's pretty strong. Don't want to gamble on it wheeling, even though it is, again, a card that the bots definitely underappreciate. Maybe with the update that changed, but we'll take it here. Alright, what about another Inheritance? Yeah, I think it's actually close between Messenger and Inheritance here. Messenger is just a nice body that plays well with our Absolution. I think we'll take a Messenger here. And hope to wheel the Guildgate. Could take a Guildgate here, otherwise we're looking at 2 mana 2/2, gain a bit of life back, 3 mana 3/1. Skewer, probably the best card in the pack. Scavenger can be okay in this archetype. I don't mind the 2-drop here, just make sure we stay alive long enough. And good 2-drops are difficult to get. Well, more Inheritances. Think we'll take it this time. Over Vampire, over Consign, over Zeal. Wouldn't mind getting 1 Consign to the pit, and maybe a few Vampires at some point, but we can usually get those pretty late. So Angel could be nice if we can pick up like a handful of gates. We don't have to be the dedicated gate deck for Angel to be playable. Otherwise we're looking at a Crocodile, which is not too exciting. Actually, don't mind the white here. Again, getting enough 2-drops is important. With double Inheritance, being more aggressive is also kind of critical, because the more aggressive our deck, the better we get to leverage Inheritance. And we already have so many 4-drops that I don't think taking Imp makes too much sense. Alright, so this was our first pack. Did not wheel the Demise, but that was kind of unlikely. I guess we'll take the Knight. We might not main deck it, but it makes for a decent sideboard card in some matchups, I guess. Do we want a Blade Brand against the green decks or a Drill Bit against slower decks? Both probably sideboard cards, although I could see main decking Blade Brand, so I guess we'll take it. And I doubt we'll want a Trumpeter, but I guess I have seen stranger things. Might actually want a Locket here. Alright, Vampire, I think we might play 1 or 2. And we wield Consign, perfect, so black-white seems relatively open. Got a few late Inheritances, a late Angel. Got some powerful cards here with Absolution, Thrall. So don't mind our position, wouldn't mind picking up some more removal spells. Did not get the chance to pick up those Grotesque Demises. And what do we open? Pretty disappointing pack for us, sadly. Best cards here, kind of all in different colors. There's a Drake, Guardian, Shaman, all great cards, and Temur. Chillbringer in blue, Get the Point in Rakdos. We're looking at a Grudian, Stalwart, which I'm not too excited about, but I guess maybe. Or we could splash Get the Point, but then we need to pick up some mana fixing. It's so likely that these 2 cards table that I think I'll just kind of speculate on a get the point just in case. This might be a deck where we actually want Cry of the Carnarium, as we're kind of looking to get to the late game. Like, sometimes Cry is awkward in the Afterlife deck, if you have a bunch of creatures that die to it and then doesn't trigger Afterlife. But in this deck, it might actually be okay. Could take a Stalwart. I don't think we're too interested in a Sentinel's Mark. Could take an Arbiter in case we want to splash blue somehow. Yeah, we'll take a Mark. Don't know if we'll main deck it, but... Alright, another Archway Angel. Or we can take the Guildgate. So we can splash Get the Point and make our first Angel better. Alright, now we can take a Final Payment. Over second Guildgate, over Fiend. Seems fine. Ooh, nice Blade Juggler. If we can trigger it consistently, we've got double Inheritance to trigger it. Seems great. And do we want a 1/3 Flying Pegasus? It does survive Cry of the Carnarium, so it has a bit of upside there. Could take a Footlight Fiend as just a cheap creature to trade off to keep us alive against the aggro decks. Although Pegasus does a similar job. Don't think we're splashing Carnival Carnage. So sure, we'll take a Pegasus. Ooh, nice. That's a late Oligarch, 8th pick. Don't mind if I do. Don't think we're playing any of these cards. There's a chance we want a random off-color gate. I doubt it. And I'll take the Disenchant for the sideboard. This pick doesn't matter. Take the uncommon for the vaults. This is actually a decision. Knight of Sorrows versus Footlight Fiend. Looking at our curve. Like if we're ambitious, we can put Blade Juggler at 3 mana. Probably not playing the Knight. Not sure if we'll play Consign. So could use some more 3-drop creatures, mostly. Alright, we'll take a Fiend. Open some nice Orzhov cards here. Pontiff, Guildmage, Messenger, Bring to Trial, even Blood Crypt would be pretty decent. Don't have a ton of sacrifice fodder for Pontiff, but we can try and pick up some more of the Afterlife cards in this pack to make it better. And it's just such a strong card when it goes unopposed. Against all the green decks, they have such a hard time dealing with this. Guildmage is kind of underwhelming. Yeah, we'll take a Pontiff and then hope to wheel another Messenger or a Bring to Trial. Alright, this is perfect. But there's also Grasping Thrall. Oh no, it might still be the Ministrant though. Like, it plays so well with Pontiff. Kind of a nombo with Cry, I guess. Yeah, it's gotta be the Ministrant here, and then hope to wheel Thrall or Guildgate. How about a Consecrate Consume? Nice removal spell for 4 mana. Don't think we need a 3rd Inheritance here. Hope to wheel Guildgate there too. Looking at a Bring to Trial. Could also make a case for Watchdog, I guess. We don't have a ton of key creatures we need to protect. Like, our win conditions are mostly Inheritance and Absolution. So Watchdog is not the most impressive card in this deck. So I think I'll take the removal spell. And alright, I'll take another Blade Juggler. Get as many of those as I can get. With double Inheritance, even if we played on turn 5 alongside another 2-drop, that's fine. And we do have a reasonable number of 2-drops to help us enable Spectacle on 3. Perfect. Grotesque Demise, nice removal spell. Well, our deck shaped up nicely. Already have an Expose, could see taking another Footlight Fiend. Helps us enable Spectacle early for our Blade Jugglers. I don't think we're gonna be splashing Get the Point here. What about a Twilight Panther? Seems okay. And we wield a Messenger, perfect. So let's take a quick look at our deck. So I don't think we're playing Get the Point, I don't think we're playing the Angel. And then we're fine to play Consign to Pit. Let's take a look at our 2-drops. Not sure about the Sentinel's Mark. I'm not hating this Orzhov Locket in this deck either, but it could definitely be cuttable. Yeah, this Messenger looks good. And then to round out our drafts, I doubt we want Undercity's Embrace even in sideboarded games. Is there a reason we want Junk Trawler? I guess if we're up against the mill deck. And it's also an uncommon for the Vault, so that's a good excuse. And we'll do the same here. Alright, don't think we'll play Bladebrand, but I guess, yeah, we already have one. Plays well with double Footlight Fiend. Could always sideboard in a second copy. Second expose for the sideboard. Alright. Third expose. Well, our opponents are going to be pretty exposed to enchantment removal. So, got a nice removal heavy deck with Absolution. Would have liked to pick up a few more Afterlife creatures, but we can't really complain. So I could see cutting one Fiend maybe. Sadly did not pick up any mana fixing. Like maybe it is just a Bladebrand and we board in double Bladebrand plus maybe Fiends in the matchups where we think it's good. Yeah, Cry of the Carnarium got a little bit worse. I could see cutting it. Yeah, the double black could also be kind of tough on the mana base. So what are we adding for it instead? We could add a Knight, we could add a Locket. Let's make a pile here. Could add Knight, could add Locket, could add Fiend, or the Bladebrand. I think those are the main considerations. I don't think we want Sentinel's Mark in this deck. Alright, people like Lockets. Can help us ramp into our more expensive cards. And then I guess we'll take a look at the mana base. Pretty even split. 9-8 in favor of white seems okay. Sure, let's go with Oreos. Not a sponsor. And got some nice tools in the sideboard too. Against the aggro decks we can bring in Cry of the Carnarium. Against the big green decks we've got some Death Touch shenanigans with Bladebrand. I guess we could have attacked for one, threaten Death Touch, and then play Fiend afterwards. I think we're fine playing kind of the control role here. And we may or may not grotesque demise the hybrids. Would be better if we can wait in response to a potential activation. So I think we'll be patient. Next turn we get to play Messenger. If they play something like a Skitter Eel, we can demise it. Alright. Another Duelist. Sure. I guess we'll demise the hybrid now. And hope they don't have a pump spell. Alright. That's what we're working towards. Could attack here, but if they have the +1 counter on tap trick, that's kind of bad for us. We've got our game plan established. Just want to make sure this resolves. Don't need to take any risks. Alright, I mean, they didn't have the Gift of Strength last turn, So either they drew it or they didn't want to use it last turn, which is kind of strange. So they probably drew it for the turn, is my guess. Alright, now we can probably afford to attack. If they have another duelists, so be it. Sure. So they want to kill the Pontiff here. Another messenger is nice. So we'll attack. Alright, looks like we're in a pretty good spot here. Yeah, opponent's pretty much dead in 2 lands. Scuttlegator. We can make the final payment if we want to. Pontiff also can attack pretty well here. Alright. Alright. Our opponent has seen enough, but in reality I don't think they have seen enough. Alright, so against the blue-green fairy duelists, yeah, I mean, Bladebrand could be okay. It's kind of awkward against duelists specifically, since they can shrink down whatever we try and give Death Touch. I don't think we want Carnarium, even though it lines up well against Fairy specifically. They're gonna have some big stuff that survives it. So what about cutting a Fiend for Bladebrand? Sure. Yeah, Bladebrand is kind of a combo with Torchlight Fiend, since you can trade with Death Touch, and then the 1 damage also has Death Touch, so it kills a second creature. But haven't been able to pull that off, despite having both cards in multiple drafts. Got a nice hand here, Oligarch, great at enabling Spectacle on turn 3. I guess we could have also played a Plague White, which lines up a little bit better in the face of a duelist when the Oligarch attacks. Alright, no attacks. So do we send in Oligarch? Fairy duelist would be annoying. I guess we'll wait. Let's play a Plague White, hope they counter it, so the Blade Juggler is more likely to connect. Alright, opponent did nothing. Now they're attacking, so maybe playing a blocker. Alright, 4/4. That'll do it. Got some nice plays lined up here. Juggler, Thrall. Can also play Juggler with Spectacle potentially to dodge Quench from the opponent. I'll still play my land first in case we need to demise and play around Quench at the same time. So I'm expecting Duelist shrinking down Oligarch, which I think we let happen. And then play Blade Juggler for 3 mana. Which also plays around Quench. Alright, they don't seem to have anything. So don't mind our position. They didn't seem to have the Quench last turn, so we might just jam Thrall. If we want to play around Quench, we can play Messenger. Alright, Swirling Torrent, killing the token, putting white on top. So we'll probably just Messenger plus white. And our opponent stays back. I guess we don't really want to trade Juggler for 1 Duelist, even though we could demise to blow it up. We'll develop our board first and then make that play later. Alright, so we'll do this. Trade is fine. We'll play a Thrall to spell check for another counterspell here, just in case. Man, they didn't even know. They didn't even know it was gonna hit them. So this one's close. It's got some powerful cards in it. We do have 8 swamps in the deck, I believe. Feels like our deck is strong enough that we don't need to gamble. Alright, I guess we'll have to keep this. This is probably a bigger gamble than the previous hand, but don't want to go to 5. And hopefully just Fiend into Juggler gets there. So this one might not go very well. Alright, so far we're doing okay. Don't have any tap lands in our deck, so any land would do it here. Okay. Opponent did seem to have some form of interaction. Could be a duelist. But we would still get to enable Spectacle. I think we go for it. Alright. Well, we did it. Is this an end of turn duelist? Alright, Senate Courier, that's fine. So I've got a few options here. So I don't mind just killing it, getting in for 4. Like the Demise might be able to get something even better, like the 2-5 Vigilance Unblockable. But at least there the flyers can still get through. And we're kind of ahead in the race. Binding, sure. Well, we haven't failed to draw the card yet. So now lands are good draws, spells are good draws. More bindings. So we can Thrall or we can White plus Ministrant. I think we double spell here. Makes our Absolution more impactful if we resolve it. Alright, so Arbiter is unfortunate, so had we played Thrall that would have lined up a bit better. I guess just attacking with Ministrant is fine too. Opponent takes it. Alright, Angel gains 4. Blocks our Thrall pretty well until we play Absolution. So this can attack, this can attack, this can attack. Hey, go figure, everything can attack. Yeah, it's gonna be hard for them to recover from this. I guess we'll kill the Angel. Summary Judgments. Alright. Can put them to 2. And I guess we don't show them any additional cards here. Just make a Spirit end of turn. Sure. So they are in fact dead on board. The token never shows up. Well, that was pretty unfair. I don't hate the idea of Exposed to Daylight. Opponent showed us double Law Mage's Binding. Opponent's probably going to be bringing in their own disenchant effects. Knight seems great against those Law Mage's Bindings as well. Just to be able to sack whatever's enchanted and get some value. Could see Vampire being kind of medium. I think I still like the Lockets. And then I could see bringing in one Exposed to Daylight. What else don't we want? I guess Footlight Fiend is not the best. How good is Bring to Trial? Like, they didn't have a ton of high-powered stuff. I guess it's still kind of a safe hatch to keep it in, just in case they have something big. Sure. And then we might take it out for game 3, if they don't show us any targets. Alright, this hand I think I'm willing to keep. We get to cast our Ministrant even without a black mana. Maybe cycle Consecrate and a single Swamp unlocks our entire hand. Yeah, they could have a Gate Colossus, they did have quite a few gates. And now Gateway Plaza, so they might be splashing for a third color or two. Alright, hopefully we can pick up a Swamp before too long. Gateway Sneak. It's pretty good here. Probably gonna have to chum block it. Alright, Binding. That's what the Exposed to Daylight is for. Alright, opponent getting to connect with Gateway Sneak could put us in a bit of trouble. Swamp off the top would be amazing. Messenger, I guess, is fine too. So hopefully no gates and no removal for Messenger. Alright, no gates. Check. High Alert. That's, I guess, pretty effective too here. So do we want to chum block? Yeah, let's just do this. Yeah, we could also expose a High Alert. We'll see. Alright, still nothing. Well, this is not good for us. Could have also taken it and then next turn exposed the High Alert and block with the Messenger from then on. Could have been good too. I think we'll just say go here. I'm not sure yet if we're exposing the High Alert or the Law Mage's Binding. Exposing the Binding would let us double block Sneak. Sure. Alright, so this is an important decision. We can expose the Binding, double block, trade, get 2 tokens, but then we're still facing a Senate Courier that's enormous. So we probably have to kill this High Alert. But getting hit by the Sneak feels bad. And then the question is, do we chum block or take one? Alright, we'll keep the Swamp. And then we'll chum block. And then we get to either Consign to the Pit or... Well, I guess Consume wouldn't actually work since they have 2 1-power creatures now. They might also have a Quench, which would counter or Consign to the Pit. So it's super likely that they have a Quench here, but I think we still try. Yep. The other options we had were just all kind of bad. We could Oligarch and chum block again, but then we just keep throwing away stuff. At least that one we can consume. Yeah, if it weren't for the Sneak hitting us repeatedly, I wouldn't hate our chances. If they have another Binding, we're gonna be sad. They just have a gate. Well, that's probably game. And we might be upping the number of exposed to daylight to 2 here, after seeing High Alert as well. Also deals with Colossus. Alright, so this game's pretty much over. I guess we'll let them show us some more cards. Lots of 1/4 flyers. Don't know if we even want a 3rd expose. Could be. So what are we cutting for the 2nd expose? If they show us an additional enchantment, I'll consider even 3 copies. So right now they have Colossus, Double Binding, and High Alert, which are all fine targets for it. Yeah, I'm not sure what we're cutting here. Maybe the 2 mana 2/2 that gains life doesn't seem too relevant. Alright, let's untap. Pegasus. So yeah, we're just dead to the Colossus here. Alright, let's pass the turn. We were basically in information gathering mode for a while now. Pontiff is pretty good against the binding at least. So yeah, 2nd expose is coming in. And I think the Orator here is coming out probably. Everything else seems more relevant. Alright. We'll be on the play. This one we can keep. Nice start. Pontiff and Ministrant go well together. Although we have to be somewhat careful because they can binding the Pontiff and then we can no longer use the ability. But I think we still want to play it here. I guess we could play it extra slow, play Ministrant and then play Pontiff afterwards. Might be wrong, but it just lines up way better against the binding. Pegasus. So wouldn't have been able to attack anyway. And there's a sneak. Yeah, hope to draw removal for it, otherwise hope they don't have a gate. That one sadly doesn't do it. Could go lock it into Pontiff, but want to keep up the activation, I think. Although, do we? Maybe it's fine to play Lockets into Pontiff. I guess so. Like, if they do have the binding for Pontiff, then it's not like we're sacrificing the Ministrant anyway. Alright, they have the gate. So yeah, gotta find Grotesque Demise, gotta find... What else do we have that kills Sneak? And they had the binding too. Yeah, that's rough. So do we even want to attack with the Ministrant here? It's so bad if they have another binding for the Messenger that I don't think it's worth it. So we'll just keep that home. And drawing our enchantment would be nice too, since it would just shrink down the Sneak so it doesn't deal damage anymore. But they probably brought in their own disenchants, would be my guess. Alright, so it looks like they're out of gates for the time being, considering whether or not they want to tap out or keep up Quench. They decide to keep up Quench, So we're probably going to draw with Locket. No reason to main phase it since we don't have any relevant 2-drops we can draw into. So we'll just pass a turn. Another binding. I guess we could draw into a final payment if we sack Locket here. But they probably have a Quench up, so I don't know if we would want to cast it here. I guess we might as well. Tap our mana like a civilized person. Don't think we're cycling Consecrate quite yet. Another Messenger is nice. I think we'll play another Messenger as insurance here. So we might be okay here. Inheritance and 2 removal spells, some powerful top decks. Alright. And there's a Demise, perfect. So we'll Inheritance. And our opponents might be in one of those positions where they're forced to keep up counterspells out of fear of Absolution, and they're unable to progress their board state because of it. Alright, they also have an Absorb. I think they still have a Quench in hand as well, so I'm not gonna Demise right now. We'll play it slow. Of course, it would be unfortunate if our opponent has... Alright, Gate Colossus is fine, so now we can tap out for Demise, and then bring to trial can exile Colossus, so this is going to be a nice turn cycle. So this was a nice turn. So yeah, Absolution, Knights, those are 2 of our better top decks. Watchdog is fine. Career. And hope they don't have High Alert could also be problematic, but we still have our 2 disenchants that we can draw. So I don't take our position. Grasping Thrall, dodges Quench, so we'll play it. So yeah, they have a Quench in hand and 1 unknown. Would be my guess. I mean, it could also be the ability from Courier holding priority, of course. But they seem to be playing like they're holding a Quench, at least. And if we do draw a Disenchant, do we keep it in hand or do we unlock the Pontiff right away? It's also difficult to really say. So a bit of draw-go action. Plaza. Colossus is exiled, so they can't return it, which is the important part here. Yeah, we already have enough mana to pay for Quench if we top deck our 6-drop. So by holding the land, we also make our opponent value their Quench a bit higher than it's actually worth. Because if we don't show that we have an 8th land, then our opponent's more incentivized to keep up Quench, whereas if we only have 7 lands, then they're still gonna want to keep it up. So that's a small thing that may or may not matter. Alright, another binding. So we're happy to see those. Since now if we top deck our Knight, we can unlock all those creatures and reap the benefits. Or a Disenchant on Pontiff could also unlock them. But of course our 1/1 flyers don't do much against all those creatures from the opponents. Alright. Pass the turn. So how many cards our opponent have? 23, 18. So we drew quite a few more than the opponent. Since we drew from Locket and we drew from Juggler. There's an Expose. Yeah, this Expose, I'm not sure if we're supposed to unlock the Pontiff. Or if we're supposed to keep it in case of high alert from the opponent, since high alert could definitely wreck our day. I think we're going to be patient here. Opponent could also have their own Exposed to Daylight that's sitting in their hand waiting to get rid of our Absolution. So we might also want to get to a point where we can play Absolution and activate it once before they kill it, so we at least get a token. But we'll see. If we pick up our second copy of Exposed to Daylight, I'll feel more comfortable getting rid of the enchantment. Alright, there's our knight. That's what we were waiting for. So now the question is, does our opponent have a hard counter? Or is their only counterspell a Quench? We have 9 mana, so we can play Knight and pay for Quench. And we even have the land to activate it afterwards. I think we go for it. And we'll tap our mana again, like a civilized person. Alright. Time to crack open all those piñatas. Don't have to do it quite yet. And it's not like our spirit tokens really get through their 1/4s, so I think we'll start here. If we attack with the knight, our opponent has a quadruple block. Consume can indeed make sure we can still attack with our knight. So that might be the play here. And I think we still hang on to Expose. Again, want to play kind of conservatively in case they do have the high alert. I guess we can also send in the 2 other flyers potentially. We'll attack like this. So they can kill 1 creature for free, but then they take a bit of damage. Alright, they're just gonna preserve their life total. Fair enough. And if they did double block a creature to kill it, we could have sacrificed it to the knight. Alright, so we're starting to make a little bit of progress. And a summary judgment. Alright. Makes sense. So let's sack some stuff before the knight leaves the battlefield here. Can sack the messenger. And do we sack the pontiff or do we keep the pontiff in play to expose with? Unclear. Yeah, we can sack Oligarch since the 2-1's pretty irrelevant. And this way we get an extra flyer out of the deal. If we top deck Absolution right now, we're in business. So our Pontiff, if we unlock it with Expose, would essentially be a 2-2 unblockable. Which isn't bad. Oh man, top decking Absolution right now would just be game over pretty much. Alright, no Absolution sadly. Alright, so we've got 10 spirits, a messenger, a thrall. If we attack with everyone, they block, let's say, 3 spirits. Then they still take 9, 10 damage. I think I'll just attack with all the flyers here. And not expose. And then we'll keep the expose to deal with the potential high alert. I think that's a reasonable compromise. Alright. So that happens. Alright, let's find out. There's a high alert. So feel free to attack. Sure. Alright, they're denying the scry. I like it. So they were indeed sandbagging their own expose, so can just take it and attack back for lethal, I'm pretty sure. Sure. Well, that was a pretty interesting game. So they had the Absolution covered, except for that one turn where they only had 2 mana up, I think. If we top decked Absolution, they would have been in trouble. So yeah, their hand was probably like Quench and Expose. Alright, so 2-0, let's keep it up. Not great, but we do have a reasonably high curve. And then we have a 2-drop and a 4-drop essentially on the draw. Sure. Alright, that's bad. Land 6 is still somewhat useful, but drawing it so early in the game. Yep. Alright, well, we can start thinking about sideboarding now. So facing an aggressive Jund deck, it looks like. Our only hope now is drawing Absolution on curve. And does this look like a matchup where we want Cry of the Carnarium? Or does our spot removal suffice? Ooh, that's rough. Alright. Land. Could be good, could be bad. Alright. No gates in play though, so just a 2-2. Don't see a 2-2 ram very often these days. Alright, I guess we'll consume here, gain 3. And next turn play Panther. Cry of the Carnarium doesn't look great here. Ram can usually outgrow it. This is bigger, although never mind, maybe it is good enough. That's a lot of 2-2s. So maybe Cry is enough here. So we'd rather trade for Hybrid than Ram at this point. They might just kill Panther. Yep. Alright, hopefully they attack with the Hybrids. I mean, if we top deck something reasonable here, like one of our 2-3 flyers, we could have been in okay shape. Depending on what they have left. There's a first gate and a Spellbreaker. So yeah, our opponent's just like straight up 3-color aggro. Which, I mean, they could have some mana issues in the next few games that we can steal. So you're saying there's a chance. Alright, I guess not. Hey, thanks for the host there, CGP. Welcome, welcome. We are currently in the middle of a Ravnica Allegiance draft. Just got smashed after drawing a few too many lands. But we're currently 2-0 in matches. Not sure how we should sideboard here. Opponent's 3 colors, pretty low to the ground. Like, they didn't have any enormous creatures where Bladebrand would shine, but they could have some in there. If they're more on the Rakdos side of things, then I don't think we want Bladebrand. If they're more on the Gruul side of things, Bladebrand could be okay. I think we stay put. We should have the tools to win this. Alright, we'll be on the play. This is a reasonable hand. Might have to cycle Consecrate here to hit our land drops. Opponent does start with the gate this time around, but we've got Consume to answer Ram. Ignis is fine. Alright, so we're hitting our land drops, which is all we need to do with Absolution in hand. Pestilent Spirits. I'm fine consuming. Hybrid, sure. Could make a case for playing Plague White since we're gonna slam Absolution next turn. Beastmaster. Yeah, this is looking good. Alright, let's see how they deal with our Absolution, if they just try and fight through it. Alright. Well, they better have some disenchants in the sideboard. Happy to make any trades with Absolution in play. And because we have double inheritance, I don't feel compelled to attack with the Pegasus. I can just sit here. Alright, so kind of have to make up our minds on how we want to sideboard for game 3. Yeah, I'm still kind of not sure if Cry of the Carnarium's good enough in this matchup. Their creatures are like just out of range of it for the most part. It's that I don't love it. But I could see a draw where it's gonna be useful. Yeah, our opponent accidentally gave the Renthorn haste. Alright, so they did go relatively high up the curve with the 5-5. They showed a Spellbreaker. So Bladebrand could be okay. But for the most part, I think our deck is still fine the way it is. Like, there's no card that's really bad in the matchup, I don't think. Like, I could see Inheritance being too weak on the draw if we're gonna be too far behind. But it's kind of our main win condition outside of Absolution. I guess we'll try it. And what are we cutting? What about an Inheritance? Might be a little too conservative, but let's try it. Alright, well, this is a mulligan. And this is not a good hand. Alright, this is better. Let's hope our opponent stumbles on their 3-color mana base a little bit, so we can catch back up. Nope. Well, that's a reasonable draw, although might not be good enough. Yeah, turn 2 goblins, definitely not a stumble. And that's what? Alright, so one of the two players is wrong here. Don't know who it is. But it's impossible for both decks to want it. That's for sure. This Blade Juggler got a bit awkward now. But I guess they don't have double black necessarily. I mean, we could just play Pegasus and kind of wait on the Carnarium to pass over. It's probably fine. Like, the Pegasus can enable for Juggler if we have to. Interesting attack. Stony Strength, fair enough. Alright. I think our play is just going to be attack with both, play Juggler, and then trade for Hybrid if we can. And since we're not going to block with our flyers, we might as well attack. Alright, that's the trade I'm happy to make. And a Renthorn, sure. So the ground is kind of stable. Let's see what they have. The answer is nothing. And a Hybrid. Alright, Hybrid could be annoying. Are we chum blocking right away or taking 6 down to 4? I think we take 6, attack for 3, play Orator. And then next turn we'll chum block with the Spirit token. That's a good top deck. Alright, so Gruul Spellbreaker is a 3/3 haste at most. How much damage do we have here? They did show us Renthorn in the previous game. Don't know if they have more than one. So attacking for 4 and attacking for 5 isn't a huge difference. So I feel like we keep one back. They did show us the 2/2 Artist, so maybe actually keep back Pegasus. So this lines up better if they have the 2/2 haste Artist. Enforcer's fine, and that's a good draw too. Do we want to trade anything? I think we just attack with our flyers now. Alright, and that should do it next turn. We're safe from a hasty top deck. Theater's nice, but too late. I guess we should block in case they have a 3 mana or 3 damage burn spell here. Alright, GG's. Well, that was a mold to 5. Pretty sweet. Yeah, probably should not have brought in Cry of the Carnarium in hindsight. Well, so far so good, 3-0, let's keep it up. Alright, this hand seems reasonable. Probably still worth it to play Panther on 1. Could be that we miss out on 1 life gain, but it's probably irrelevant. Alright. Looks like Quench or Duelist. Still fine to attack either way. Happy if they quench this and not Absolution. Looks like our opponent's gonna hold on to their quench. Not bad. What's my favorite card from Ravnica Allegiance? Have to think for a second. Vanifar's pretty high up on that list, I guess. So that's my first answer, but I might come back to it. I think we don't play Inheritance here. Play it next turn. Make it more likely that Absolution resolves. Just feels like they're holding on to some counterspells. Sure. That's a good one. Can help us play around Quench. I think we would be happy to trade Panther for hybrids. I guess now they could have the Duelist. But if they play Duelist, we get to resolve Inheritance. And Duelist is still going to be quite good against our Vampire. So I guess that's fine. If they want to Duelist us. Stony Strength instead. Fair enough. Sadly, this is Sorcery Speed. So now they still have Quench up. So I guess we'll play a Vampire then. And then next turn we can play Inheritance. Essence Capture, fair enough. So we still don't know for sure if they also have a Quench here. Alright, well they got a decent exchange there. Consume can clean up the hybrid. Or we can just keep the Panther back on defense, which also works. Yeah, does this resolve? It does not. Alright, well we've been baiting out a counterspell to set up this Absolution. Hopefully we get to reap the rewards. They don't get to make any great attacks because of Panther. Duelist would be pretty good here. Titanic Brawl. Savants. So they might still be keeping up Quench here, in which case we're just going to consume and wait until we have 8 mana, which is fine by me. We're not in a hurry, opponent's not pressuring us. No attacks. And the opponent's also forced to keep up mana for Quench, so even though we're delaying our game plan, our opponent's also kind of crippling themselves by having to keep up all those instants, and it's not like they have a ton of things they can do end of turn. Alright, opponent taps out for Lizrog. We tap out for Absolution. And hopefully that's good enough. Spider. Alright, so 7 mana. I guess we will just curve out here. And then land 8 gives us 2 tokens with Absolution. I'm happy to make any trades. Alright, opponent's got an alternate win condition, so it's kind of on us to close out the game now, before they mill us out. So I want to be a little bit more aggressive than we were before. We'll just make 2 tokens end of turn. So make sure to exile the creatures here. And I guess we could also attack with a Plague White, since either it gets in damage or it trades. So I guess that's fine. So your opponent has to make an additional block, or they have to have a Fairy Duelist or a fight spell. No, warrants. I see. Alright. Alright, that's somewhat effective. It's gonna make it so we don't have lethal on the way back. Guild Mage doesn't do a ton here. Should probably be exiling stuff out of their graveyard. Just need to draw either an answer to the spider or more creatures. Incongruity. Yeah, it's too bad. But they still haven't been able to mill us in the meantime, so they still have some work to do on that front. They're at 3, so they're dead to a top-decked inheritance. I guess we'll clean up the graveyard here just in case. I guess I could have like a Terramander. I guess if we attack with this and they block it with Spider, then this is getting in. If they block this with Spider, this is trading. And we get to get more food for the Absolution. So I guess an attack with everyone is still fine. Double block there, sure. So take 2. We get to make 3 spirits. And they get to get some more information about our deck. Those are 3 good cards. Although it's funny that Bring to Trial no longer works on most of their stuff because it's all too small. Alright, that might keep them alive. For one more turn. I think I want to avoid showing them the Blade Juggler. Opponent's going to be at 1 life, facing 3 spirit tokens that are all lethal. Alright, get to see white mana, that's useful information. Opponent's going to get some more info as well. It's only fair. Alright, so how do we want to sideboard? A blue-green creature-heavy deck, lots of instant speed tricks. Could see Bladebrand being okay if they have a big creature we need to get past. Footlight Fiend doesn't seem amazing, all their stuff was relatively big. Although of course a Fiend plus Bladebrand play well together. Let's try a Bladebrand. Maybe Fiend is better than Pegasus. Let's try this. Bit land heavy, but could get there. Okay. So our opponent's pretty serious about a mill plan. Ministrant, a pretty nice blocker for Steeple Creeper. Even if something bad happens, we still get some tokens. Gonna give it flying. Sure. So now giving it flying, maybe not the best idea, unless they've got Stony Strength as well. There's a white mana, could see a 4/4 flying token here, which we would have to consign to the pit in a few turns. Maybe they were debating whether to keep up an Essence Capture here. Savants. Alright, so they did have a Terramander. So exiling their spells with Absolution was actually relevant. Well, they're pretty far away from adapting with it. So we're still fine to attack with the Messenger. Do we want to attack with Plague White? I guess we're fine trading it with a Creeper. And we'll leave the Ministrant back. Play Inheritance. Alright, let's get this in play. And next turn, consign to the pits. Can maybe kill something, although nothing at the moment that really needs killing. Screaming Shields. Alright, so our opponents assembled the mill plan. Man, that Screaming Shield's frightening. Opponent kept up 4 mana instead of equipping shields, so they are keeping up something. What could that something be? Probably an Essence Capture. Let's try this Vampire. Alright, Essence Capture. It's totally fine. So now we still have access to Grasping Thrall, Consign to the Pit, and Inheritance ticking down. So I don't hate our position. Alright, they did also have a Thought Collapse. Good to know. Oh no, they milled their Absolution. I think we're still okay. 22 cards remaining. How about another one? By playing Thrall we get in more damage though. Next turn we can attack with everyone and then drain with Inheritance, and if they don't have anything, I think that's game. So they either need removal, another flyer, way to gain life, way to deal with Inheritance, or somehow kill us, which seems unlikely. 20 cards remaining. Two cards in hand. Chillbringer, alright. That can keep them alive for another turn. But now we can just play another inheritance. And next turn, drain them for 2, drain them for 4, and that should be game. $15 cards remaining. I guess if they play 3 more Persistent Petitioners. Alright, sweet. Yeah, the mill plan's somewhat ambitious, I would say. Alright, so far so good. Scorchmark's unfortunate. Could have played around it by playing Fiend first, but then we were gonna play pretty off-curve. I guess we'll Messenger first. Our hand's pretty stacked. Don't think we're losing this. Unless our opponent plays some giant green creatures we can't deal with in time. But Messenger should get in more damage than Inheritance if we play it right now. And then next turn Troll and then double Inheritance. Alright. It's not bad. Pretty happy to trade there. Put on stock on 3 lands. Man, this is tempting too. But I think it's time for Inheritance now. We're more likely to double spell next turn with Blade Juggler and something else cheap. Not bad. So drawing a land would be pretty sweet. Not bad either. Well, we had a pretty solid draw. And our opponent got stuck on 3 lands for a while. So they've got a lot of fight spells in there. Savage Smash, Titanic Brawl, lots of solid removal, Scorchmark, Skewer. So they have been pretty busy. Ooh, and a Nikia too. Alright, Nikia could lead to some scary things. Alright, so we can just double block Nikia if we want to. Seems okay. They could have activated this if they wanted to prevent that scenario. They can't play any pump spells because of Nikia, so they can't have any trick. I think we trade. Like, we just need time to sack both inheritances. So let's do some math here. Let's say we sack Inheritance, put them to 6, attack, put them to 5, then next turn they're dead. Alright, so, I mean, at the end of the day, our opponent had a pretty functional draw. They just weren't able to add a threat to the board, but they did have a lot of removal, which is good to know. So what about Blade Brand? It matches up okay against some of the fight spells, if we can keep it up at instant speed. Trades well with Nikia and Renthorn. Not great against the instant speed removal, although I guess they didn't have much of that, just a Scorch Mark and the fight spell, which is mostly going to cost them 2 mana. So Bladebrand probably comes in, and they showed us double Guild Mage. So I think Fiends and double Bladebrands coming in as kind of a plan. Pegasus seems mopey. Orator is also not great, but maybe good enough. Could see cutting a Locket. It's kind of the last card to cut, and I guess we need to make one more. This could be a matchup where Inheritance doesn't always perform. Like, it was good in that circumstance because our opponent was kind of slow out of the gates, but they were pretty close to just killing us with those giant creatures, and Inheritance is kind of slow at getting us life back. But if we're on the Death Touch plan, then it becomes a bit better again, since we can deal with the big creatures a bit easier. I think Orator is cuttable. Well, there's one part of the combo. Hand's not very good, but might be keepable. Fiend trades for their 2-drop, hopefully, and then Consume trades for their 4-drop, hopefully. We did take out a Locket, so we're just 17 lands now. Do have some expensive cards in our deck. Bladebrand would be a great pickup alongside Fiend. We'll try it. It's a good draw. Happy to trade for Hybrid, even though they might have some removal here and not give us the option. Although we would also like to enable Spectacle for Juggler. So interesting attack. Might actually take it here. Another Hybrid. Alright. Pontiff is an interesting twist. I think we attack. They're probably going to take it, and then we get to Blade Juggle. Happy to trade Blade Juggler for anything. And then we've got some nice removal spells that are ready here, so we're doing okay. Just need to make sure they don't like Savage Smashes and we fall too far behind. Would be a good turn for a Savage Smash, since they don't care about the damage dealt to the Hybrid. No, never mind. And a Beastmaster. Alright. So, hello. What about Bladebrand? So the awkward thing here is, if we play Pontiff, then our opponents may be no longer incentivized to attack because we represent having Death Touch with Pontiff. So it's kind of awkward to play Pontiff and Bladebrand at the same time. We'll try it, we'll try it. Let's see if our opponent goes for it. Like, they're pretty incentivized to attack with the Beastmaster here. The instant speed fight spell could blow us out. That's the main concern here. And the Scorch Mark could be bad too. This on the other hand, I'll take. Yep, oops indeed. Well, that's called a 3-for-1. Doesn't happen very often. It wasn't actually a 3-for-2 since we got to draw a card from the Blade brand, so it was actually a 3-for-1. Alright, so it's gonna be difficult to lose from here, but let's try not to mess this one up. Opponent played a Steeple Creeper. We could just bring to trial and then play Blade Juggler afterwards. Probably fine. Still have Consume afterwards too. Like, the only downside of this play is that will be shields down on Pontiff, so if they have another Scorch Mark or Skewer the Critics, they can kill it. But I don't think we care. Alright, there's a Scorch Mark. So, yeah, took a small risk there, but I think we're still gonna be okay. Double Scorch Mark. Alright, so now they still have a chance here, especially if we flood out a little bit. Collision, alright, opponent with the sideboard deck. I guess this one they probably main deck because of the bump spell part. Alright, gotta find another threat here. Inheritance would be fine too. That's an answer, not a threat, but I guess that means we won't be dying anytime soon. Got their next two creatures covered. Yeah, I could cantrip the Consecrate, but I don't think we do. It's just gonna be pretty effective in this spot here. So, like, we could even just trade Plague White for Guild Mage here, to be honest. Keep payment and consume. I think that's reasonable. Blade Brand. Yeah, I'm gonna offer the trade. Ooh, Bedeck. Alright, so now we get kind of rewarded. Sacrifice. Kill this. Sack this. Could also Blade Brand first to cycle it. I guess that's reasonable too. Kind of see what we draw first. Alright, just a land. Alright, so we're down to nothing in terms of threats, but we still have a good answer. Opponent at 9, lots of good top decks remaining in our deck. So I don't hate our chances. Alright, more removal. We have drawn significantly more lands than the opponent, so hopefully that balances out at some point. And they're stuck with 3 cards in hand, so either removal spells or 5-drops that they can't cast. Alright. So yeah, despite that blowout 3-for-1, if we just draw 3 more lands than the opponent, then it doesn't matter if we 3-for-1 them, since we drew a bunch of useless cards. But we're still in the game, and hopefully we'll top deck something good soon. Inheritance, got 2 of those. Absolution would win us the game on the spot. So let's consume. Alright, 21 life, that's quite a bit to work with, but if they start jamming Randhorns, we could be in trouble. Still gonna play out my lands just in case we draw Absolution and need more mana in play to activate it. So that's 12 lands to the opponent's 6, make that 14. So, quite a difference. 13, 14, we've got 3 lands remaining. That one I'll happily kill. I think we wait until they pump it. Alright, so 2 lands left. We're going for a record here. But just imagine top decking Absolution now. 14 mana, we get to play it and activate it twice. It's pretty sweet. So I'll just take it, make them invest their entire turn if they want to pump it. And at 21 life, taking 2 damage is fine. So that bought us another turn at least. Alright, there we go. Easy peasy. And I'm sure there's plenty of food for us to gobble up. Alright, where do we start? With a Nikia. And what about a Beastmaster as our main course? Get in 4/4. Oh no. How many creatures are left? Let's see, Guildmage, Hybrid, so we can activate 3 times here. And if they don't have anything, that should be game. See, the game was just helping us out, giving us all these lands so we could activate our Absolution multiple times. Yeah, our opponent's deck had a lot of removal in it, that's for sure. And there you are. Trying to hide. Yes, Ethereal Absolution is absolutely a bomb. GG's. And there we have it. Squeaky clean 5-0. Alright, let's crack some packs. Bedeck Bedazzle, pack 1, pick 1. Yeah, I could see taking the removal spell. Like Terramander, not as good in draft as it is in constructed. Still fine in draft, but it's gonna take a bit more work to get going. What do we have here? Ooh, Mass Manipulation. If the board ever gets to a stall, this is game over. It's pretty expensive. It's like at least 6 mana to steal 1 thing, 8 mana to steal 2 things, so it does scale well into the late game. So if you can build your deck around it, it can be okay. But just make sure you can survive the early game. Ooh, Emergency Powers. Not the best in limited, probably just taking the removal spell here, or the Titanic Brawl could also be okay, but I think Demise is better. And Revival Revenge, not the best. Probably looking at Serotok. Arynx is good too. Serotok keeps you in 1 color, so probably preferable over Arynx, even though Arynx has a few more bells and whistles. Ooh. Yep. It's definitely a powerful first pick. Ministrant's also great, but Angel is better. This is a pretty interesting card too. Both halves are quite solid. And of course still castable for double red or double green, so still pretty flexible. Mortify is also great, Skyguard's great, Blade Juggler's great, this entire pack is very good. So it could go in multiple directions, kind of based on your preference. Can't really go wrong with that pack. Alright, so that's gonna do it for this draft, but otherwise want to thank everyone for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day. I also want to thank all my patrons for being part of the channel, and you can become a patron yourself today and decide the topic of future videos over at patreon.com/LegenVD.